to Titan HST's Business Continuity Today, hosted by Todd DeVoe, where planning meets reality.
Good morning, everybody. And hey, first, I just want to start off today over by my house and where we're here in Orange County, California. We have a couple fires burning, and we have some crazy evacuation orders going on. It looks like 70, 80,000 people right now are impacted by those orders. So I just want to say, hey, everybody, stay safe out there. And we had two firefighters yesterday get burned pretty severely, third and second degree burns. And, just want to, my heart and prayers are going out to them and their families for hopefully a speedy recovery. This is definitely a scary time for them. And just a reminder that everybody out there doing it is putting themselves in harm. And just remember that. So now into the show. I have no doubt that you've heard that Benjamin Franklin's quote, "If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail." And you probably heard the quote too saying, "No plan survives first contact." So today we're going to discuss why plans fail. So fire pilots, right? They have, they pop their parachute, right? That's their final plan. If things are all going as bad as they can go, they're going to pop that parachute, pop the canopy, and go up. And that's their backup plan, right? That's how they're going to safely get down to the earth. Otherwise, there's not really much surviving that kind of a drop. So if the parachute is poorly maintained, not packed right, not easily accessible, too complicated to deploy, it's going to fail them. So that's why it's a simple, you just pull the levers above your head and you pop that parachute. Well, business continuity plans, they are just like an organization's parachute. They work to carry the organization to safety and to diminish further losses. And actually, if you do it right, you can actually thrive during crisis as well. So why do they fail? Well, there's a couple different things. We're going to go over 7 points of why business continuity plans fail. One is inadequate assessment of risks. Now, we've discussed this before, of risk assessment, and it depends on who you speak to about how risks are assessed, but there's some pretty simple things. So you can just do a quick risk matrix where you feel the risks are coming from. And like this in the case of today with the fires, what do you do when fires are impacting your business? There are tons of businesses out there today that are being impacted where people can't go into the office because it's closed due to the fire. We've had this with COVID. What is your plan for COVID? So what are those risks and how do you weigh those risks? And then how do you plan for each risks? There's always that urge to say, oh, it's not going to happen to us. Oh, we can handle it without a plan. Or, we can just do a hasty plan when it comes. But is that really realistic, right? Going back to Ben Franklin's plan, if you don't have a plan, you fail to plan. And as you talk about planning in the sense of what Eisenhower said, it's not the plan that counts, it's the planning process that counts. So the idea of it won't happen to us, that is the proverbial ostrich paradox, if you will, right? Is you do not think that things are going to happen, so you don't plan for them, and then when it happens, you're not prepared, and that is when the proverbial panic can fall into, right? Then you also, the other part of it is creating a single point of failure. When we talk about robustness, we talk about the concept of anti-fragility. It's having multiple points that you have that where you can, if this one point fails, you can go on to others. Now, if you think about a naval ship, right? They have locking doors, right? And those doors are airtight and waterproof. And so when they lock those doors down, water's not going to get into them. So if you take a look at some of the issues that we've had with Navy ships, like USS Cole, for instance, that was not necessarily seaworthy. I mean, they towed it, but it wasn't going to sink due to the fact of the ability to have all these multiple spots of keeping water from sinking that ship. And so it has to go through multiple layers of problems before the system fails. And that's what you have to do with your business continuity plan as well, is not having a single point of failure. An example of this, and I will I use a personal story here. With this one organization that I work for, we had one lady that worked for us who had all the information. She knew where it was all stored, her own sort of filing way she did things. And I always ask the question, I said, well, what happens if this person gets hit by the bus, right? Who can back her up? Who knows her job well enough? And the organization didn't have anybody that could do and had on the institutional knowledge of what she knew. And so that's that single point of failure. If she was to disappear for whatever reason, God forbid if it was permanent, what, how do you keep going? And so having people that are cross trained that can do each other's job, that understand the plan from different angles, is stopping that single point of failure. And I think it's really important to understand that as well. And then failing to update the plan. So we write this plan, we spend a long time on it. It becomes a pretty sizable document, and you go, oh, that's good. And you do not have an update plan to plan it, right? What I mean by that is, what is your process? So is it every year or every 2 years? What makes you update that plan? Is there any trigger points that you already created that makes you go in and update the plan? So you should have a planning update to update your plan. Right? It sounds like a lot of planning going on here, but I guess this is what we're talking about. And so update your business continuity plans frequently, and make it an assignment. And I would say, do it 9 to 12 months out. Put the 9-month period in there for each division to take a look at their areas, and then at the 12-month part, everybody comes together and relooks at the plan as a total. Because, like I said, I would really encourage having your business continuity plans and your emergency operations plans, for that matter, as being part of your daily operation at your organization, because that way it's always being tested. And then people are refrained from sharing the plan. When the plan is created, you put a list out of who gets the plan, right? Where is this binder going to live? I would say put it on a listserv if you can, Dropbox or whatever, where people can get into it. If you want to protect it for people can't mess around with it, you could do that through using PDFs or things like this. But have it readily available for people to look at, all the way from the lowest member on that totem pole all the way to the top of the totem pole. Whoever. Yeah, everybody should understand it. Everybody should understand each part of that plan. Encourage people to come and ask questions about the plan. I think those things are key to making sure that you're going to have a successful operation if something fails where you need to institute that business continuity plan. Sometimes people avoid customization. What I mean by this is they go out and they find a business continuity template, and they just, control H and remove, organization X and put organization Y in. They think that's going to be their thing. Now, it may check that box for you, right? You say, okay, I need this business continuity plan. It goes through, box is checked. But is it really your plan? Or is it just somebody else's plan? And you can find plenty of templates out there. You can find organizations that will sell you templates. You'll find organizations that will come in and create business continuity plans for you by using the template. And again, it's very boilerplate. So go through and make sure that if you're going to use templates to start plan, and I'm all for that, right? Use templates as starting points. But make sure that you go through line by line, right? And make it fit your organization. And then also, again, you need to take each section that you're writing and put it into the organization or the part of the organization that's going to implement that plan, that part of the plan, and making sure that they have buy-in and understanding that plan. And then they too should go line by line by line to make sure that it meets what they are doing. So don't just buy a business continuity template or get somebody to come in and use a template to create your plan. Make sure that you're going through that and customizing that plan specifically for you. And then don't neglect crisis communication, right? communicating what is going on. So, for instance, let's go back to these fires that we're having today. The fire kicked off 6:45 or something like that in the morning. It was only 10 acres long. You should be leading forward if you have a fire like that or a disaster rolling in like that in your area, making sure everybody in your organization is aware of the situation and that you might be implementing your plan. Also, develop a crisis communication plan for your business continuity plan. So again, we're planning for the plan, and ensure that all staff stay connected during the incident. Here at Titan HST, we have a great communication software that can be used and implemented specifically as part of your business continuity plan. And then they're going to go foregoing tests and exercising. People are afraid to exercise their plans for whatever reason. And the other thing too is when you exercise your plan, don't worry about failing or having mistakes happen, because when you're doing it during an exercise and drill, that's when you're testing the plan. You're not testing the individuals, you're testing that plan. So don't be afraid to exercise or test that plan. Matter of fact, if you don't exercise and test that plan, you might as well not even just have a plan. Right? It's just easier just to why even have that document sitting there? Because go through this thing, right? Do rehearsals, start small, do tabletop exercises, and then do some little department exercises, and then bring the whole entire organization together to do a full scale exercise. And that way, it's been tested small. You can make those incremental changes and then go forth and then do the big drill exercise and know that if it's going to fail or not in different points, how to fix that. And then have a really, really, really detailed, I was going to say hot wash, but a friend of mine hates that term. Have a detailed debriefing on that plan. Write it out and make an action plan based upon your debriefing and the points that you have failures, and fix that, and then test it again, and keep testing it and exercise that plan often. That way, when it does happen, if a disaster does happen, it's second nature. Think about the football team, right? They practice and practice and practice, and so those guys out there know exactly where they're going to be when that play is called. And you see these fantastic, quarterback and reception and receiver connections. It's because they practice all day long. It's not just happens during the game. So doing that, finishing to fail, right? Or failing to finish, I should say. You need to go through and make sure that it is done, that as you start the process, that you finish the process. How many times I've come across people who have half-written plans and they just don't go through the entire process. And that's also, you are putting yourself up to failure at this point. And then here's the last one. Like I said, all plans are great until they put in action, right? So they fail first contact. Or as Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Murphy's Law, right? If something can go wrong, it will go wrong. And far too often, organizations don't plan for Murphy's Law, right? They just think, okay, I got this plan written. Everything's going to go perfect. There's not going to be any variables that are associated with this. And yep, so Murphy's Law gets them all the time. So plan for Murphy's Law. Right, formulate those backup plans for the plans, second and third ideas. When you go through there again, avoiding that single point of failure is critical to making sure that you have a proper plan going on here. So everybody, as we come to the conclusion here, recognizing that business continuity plans have pitfalls, and there are different areas here where you can fail. By going over these 7 steps, right? These 7 things, you can reduce that potential of having failure. And again, plan for Murphy's Law. That things that are going to go wrong can go wrong. All right. Well, thank you guys for being with us today. Thank you for visiting with us. Visit Titan HST for all your communication needs. And remember to follow us on your favorite podcast player, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and join us next week. And until then, everybody stay safe, stay hydrated. All my Orange County friends and family, stay safe out there. Listen to the evacuation orders when you get them. God bless.
Bye.